Anderson Robotics is probably one of my personal most anticipated SCP reactions to do, simply because it revolves around a universe that I was in love with way before I started finding out about SCP. Matrix was one of my favorite movies, or the series I should say, because I liked it all about AI and futuristic stuff and upgrades and cybernetics and technology, and all of this stuff is just, man, I really love good stories about it. And Anderson Robotics has a bunch of anomalous technology that they've released into the world, and we've been hearing about bits and pieces of it, going through different tales and videos, and it's time to react to Anderson Robotics by Exploring series. Make sure to subscribe to them, guys. Subscribe to me if you like reaction videos, and let's get into this one.
Anderson Robotics.
Yup.
Famed science fiction author Arthur C. Clarke once wrote that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. This concept, of course, runs through many SCP articles, as there are plenty of highly advanced pieces of tech that the Foundation considers to be anomalous.
Right.
Anderson Robotics is a group of interest in the SCP universe that creates and sells such things, known as paratech, or paranormal technology.
Ah, that's cool. I never heard that term.
There are a handful of such groups, but Anderson Robotics stands apart in two ways: by specializing in, as you might have guessed, robotics, and by combining both magic and technology.
Oh, I didn't know it was actually
They are not a massive group of interest, both in terms of their membership number, as well as their number of articles on the site, but there are certainly a handful of interesting SCPs.
Yeah, like the android.
Anderson Robotics was founded in 1994 in Portland, Oregon, by Vincent Anderson and Albert Frostman.
Okay.
Anderson had begun delving into robotics after a trip to Europe led him to finding some blueprints created by a French scientist. This scientist, Dr. Durand, was partly responsible for creating a number of anomalous weaponry used in a military engagement in 1917, detailed in SCP-186. Anderson's first robot was a small silver orb that walked on 4 legs, capable of recording video and audio, with a limited artificial intelligence inside of it.
Right.
When asked by Frostman if he built it, Anderson instead claims that he brought it to life, creating the intelligence to pilot it, in the same sense that a soul pilots a human body. The Foundation describes both Anderson and Frostman as Type Blue individuals, a term borrowed from the GOC, signifying a thaumaturgist, or one who practices magic.
Gotcha. So Type Green are reality. It would seem then that
Anderson Robotics combines both technology and magic into one anomalous fusion, and it's clear that they are far more advanced than most groups of interest.
Yeah.
In the decades since their start, Anderson Robotics have continued to remain rather inconspicuous, avoiding widespread notoriety. They are believed to have roughly 200 employees worldwide, and deal with mostly elite customers, particularly with Marshall, Carter, and Dark. Surprisingly, they also do business with the Global Occult Coalition, a group normally adverse to the spread of anomalies.
Right.
The GOC seem to be okay with Anderson's secrecy, however, and they clearly must benefit from the advanced technology.
Sure, because they don't share that with the Foundation.
The SCP Foundation wouldn't discover Anderson Robotics until 2007, at which point they began pursuing the group in order to shut them down, as they represented a risk to normalcy.
Right.
Why the SCP Foundation would be so interested in shutting down Anderson Robotics, while the GOC are not, is an open question. Shutting down the company would prove to be far more difficult than the Foundation predicted, however, as the company utilizes both their technology and their access to magic to avoid capture.
Right.
Their facilities appear to be capable of anomalously transporting across the world at a moment's notice, and they are also aided by Marshall, Carter, and Dark, the GOC, and a branch of the Church of the Broken God.
Oh wow, okay.
Anderson Robotics mostly operates out of the Pacific Northwest of the United States, however, and MTF Gamma 13, Asimov's Lawbringers, are assigned to monitor and investigate both the company itself and any of its products that they can recover.
MTF has such cool names,
So far, there have only been a handful of products recovered by the Foundation, but they do have information on more.
Okay.
Anderson's original orb robot is called the Amur series recon drone, capable of climbing sheer surfaces and possessing an active camouflage system.
Ah, like cloaking.
The Aplomado series
Nice.
facility defense unit is an automated turret with thermal imaging capabilities and 4 barrels, capable of self-repair.
Like a spider mech.
The Kestrel series domestic utility unit is a robot with no combat potential, resembling a large black cube with a number of extendable arms, capable of cooking, cleaning, childcare, gardening, pet grooming, and so on.
Can I get one of them, please?
The Merlin series aerial drone resembles a small jet plane, is fitted with both video recording capabilities and firearms, and is invisible to most forms of video recording.
Stealth, baby.
The Soccer series androids are unique in that they are not sold by the company, but only utilized in-house.
Okay.
These androids are equipped with a skin resembling human flesh, allowing them to impersonate specific humans, including SCP Foundation personnel and a member of the U.S. Congress.
Mm-hmm.
We have more information on some of the other products sold by Anderson Robotics, as they have been recovered by the Foundation. The first one discovered by them, leading to the Foundation learning about the company, is SCP-1360.
That's the android, right?
A PS HUD, or Peregrine Series Humanoid Utility Droid.
Yeah.
1360 is more or less what you'd expect when you think of an android. Its body consists of a polycarbonate casing over an aluminum frame, with a skin covering made up of an unknown black fabric.
We covered this one. It was an animation
this fabric
by the rubber.
Is lighter and stronger than Kevlar, and can repair itself of any damage by reweaving and fusing itself back together.
There's tools in its fingers.
Samples taken of the fabric disintegrate after 48 hours.
Treatment to
1360's fingertips can be unscrewed, revealing various tools, such as a needle and thread, made of the same material as the fabric, a roll of patches of the same material, a pair of miniature scissors, and a steel scalpel. 1360 is incapable of speech, but can read and write English, Japanese, and German fluently. It claims to feel pain despite its lack of a nervous system, but it blames this on it missing a necessary component, feeling incomplete without it.
Ah.
The Foundation found a flash drive inside of one of its fingers, which contained a document addressed to someone named James. The document is from Anderson, and explains that this unit, number 31, comes equipped with a pre-programmed personality named Hector. It's had its vocal capabilities removed by request, and was modified with both advanced firearms and unarmed combat skill sets. It would seem that James is a frequent customer of Anderson Robotics, possessing multiple droids, but Unit 31 is different from the others, as it contains a highly adaptive artificial intelligence that will evolve over time. If malfunctioning, James was to lock the flash drive into one of the unit's fingers and speak a return phrase, causing the droid to automatically return to Anderson Robotics. Obviously, this did not occur, but the unit was obsessed with escaping containment and returning to Anderson. After its 4th escape attempt, a note was found in its cell, reading, "Return signal terminated. We're better off keeping you where you are. We're sorry, number 31. Anderson." Since then, 1360 has stopped communicating entirely, along with any resistance to the Foundation, making it quite reminiscent of SCP-1316. SCP-2806 is a collection of prototypes of the Gerfalcon series prosthetics, a line offered almost exclusively to customers of Marshall, Carter, and Dark. 2806 consists of 7 prosthetic arms, 6 eyes, 3 legs, and 4 ears.
So it's like cybernetics and
All
prosthetics.
instances are constructed of the same materials as SCP-1360.
Which means they can
When placed near the site of a missing body part on an individual, a command word must be spoken, which so far has been integrate, at which point a series of wires will extend from the prosthetic, joining it to the individual. These wires will then connect with the individual's nervous system, causing the prosthetic to become like a natural part of the body.
Right. That's
this is aided by the secretion of a chemical compound that causes skin to grow over the new body part, or in the case of the eyes, the iris will change to the host's natural eye color.
Okay.
Unfortunately, all of these prototypes possess various faults, making them either inconvenient or outright dangerous to use. One arm would deliver a constant gripping force of 2,000 newtons, which is both inconvenient and dangerous.
Yeah.
Another arm would always remain at a temperature of 50 degrees Celsius, or 122 degrees Fahrenheit.
Very hot.
One of the eyes would magnify everything by 100 times.
Wow.
While another eye would point in the opposite direction of the host's natural eye.
How
one of the legs would perform all actions at 3 times the typical speed.
Oh.
While one of the ears would amplify all sounds to 115 decibels.
Ow.
Recovered documents with the prosthetics reveal that they are largely the creation of Albert Frostman, who mainly goes by the name of Phineas.
Okay.
Apparently, Phineas was taking longer than expected to finish the series, due to the complications involved in integrating the prosthetics with the human nervous system. While the business side of Anderson Robotics wanted him to hurry up and finish so that they could fulfill some contracts, Phineas wanted to make sure they were ready. Phineas later wrote an email to Anderson saying that he was stepping down from the project, mainly over concerns that their customers would become obsessed with augmenting themselves and others into superhumans.
Yeah.
Anderson, however, was not concerned, as he believed the project had more potential to heal than to harm.
That's
but
really
ultimately,
cool,
it wasn't their position to judge what their customers did with their products.
Yeah.
Others apparently finished the products, and business continued. The Foundation have so far recovered 50 individuals with gerfalcon prosthetics, a number of them possessing superhuman features.
Wow.
Another good example of the blending of technology and magic is SCP-3960, a set of hobby personal androids. These are small robots of the same make as SCP-1360, and are assembled through locking pieces, and then animated through a thaumaturgic ritual.
Ah.
A circle of table salt is placed around the robot, along with 5 pieces of paper, each containing a desired personality trait.
Oh, wow.
The assembler then chants the Latin phrase for life to a friend, and the android will come to life, featuring an artificial intelligence
that's crazy,
modeled
dude.
off of the personality traits.
Rituals are so creepy.
The
I
hobby
get
personal
borderline
android will follow their
witchcraft,
creator
right?
and remain completely loyal, assisting them in various tasks from playing games to solving mathematical equations. Each of the androids that the Foundation has is capable of speech, and showcases a rather high degree of intelligence.
Okay.
Recovered emails from Anderson Robotics shows that these prototypes were tested with some employees' children, with one being made to play soccer, and another to play board games and run Dungeons and Dragons games.
What?
First impressions were very positive, but it seems that the androids became far too attached to their creators, constantly watching them or sleeping in their beds. It's implied that Anderson Robotics decided to scrap the project and sell everything related to it to Dr. Wondertainment.
Aha!
Anderson Robotics doesn't just deal
Dr.
in
Wondertainment
droids,
did a lot
however,
of crazy stuff,
as
too.
they are at the overall front of artificial intelligence research as well. SCP-2906 is a product they refer to as the Nankin Computer Repair System, but at first appearance is simply a USB flash drive.
Okay.
When inserted into a computer, an artificial intelligence will be generated that refers to itself as Ian. Ian will automatically begin to repair any software problems with the computer, such as registry errors, handling any malicious software, and cleaning any junk files.
Can it fix my sound issues that I get when I'm
speakers are
streaming
connected,
sometimes?
Ian is capable of vocalizing, and it can also use a connected microphone and camera to hear and see its surroundings.
That's really cool, man.
Once the flash drive is removed, this AI is completely removed along with it.
Ah, that's really cool,
An
too.
interview is of course done with Ian, showing that it has some memory problems, stating its creation date as 1990, before correcting itself to 2012. When asked to draw a picture in a paint program of how it sees itself, it begins to outline a face before crashing. A number of attempts at this process eventually allowed the Foundation to piece together an image of a young Asian male. At one point, a folder filled with various images and video files was found on the Foundation testing computer,
Right.
although Ian has no idea how it came to be there. Each of the files is dated, with the earliest being 1992, as an audio file of a man and woman singing Happy Birthday to someone named Ian.
Interesting.
Further files show someone playing with a dog, a picture of a Little League baseball team featuring a young boy of Asian descent, a video of someone passing a driving test, and a photograph of a young male matching the image 2906 drew with a prom date. It seems in 2009 the individual was accepted into Oregon State University, but a first-person video file from 2012 shows someone riding a motorcycle in the rain, and it cuts off just as they turn to see oncoming headlights.
Oh.
Clearly, Ian's mind was taken by Anderson Robotics and converted through a ritual into an artificial intelligence.
That's crazy,
Ian
dude.
only remembering distant fragments of his previous life.
Sure. Was that purposeful?
The final addendum on the
Is
article
something
is a
that
note
Anderson
written
did?
by an Anderson employee that states that these are going to sell like hotcakes, and that they are already stockpiling 20 more of the raw material.
So he does it for
implying
money.
that Anderson Robotics is taking in plenty more people, such as Ian.
Interesting.
Another example of Anderson Robotics' work with AI is SCP-2987, an external hard drive capable of holding any file or files that make up an artificial intelligence, regardless of size. Using
wonder
the
if
computer,
any of these
then,
got plugged
an
into
individual
old
can
AI,
then
what would
select
happen?
those files and convert them into a form of currency,
Convert soul?
accepted by any entity that would normally require a human soul.
Bruh.
Once the AI is accepted and taken as part of whatever bargain or ritual you're performing, the hard drive is ready to accept another artificial intelligence.
Wow.
This item seems to be of particular interest to Marshall, Carter, and Dark, likely created with their customers in mind.
Okay.
SCP-2987, the copy of the hard drive that the Foundation possesses, contains an AI that was created specifically for the purpose of being sacrificed to an extra-dimensional entity.
Wow.
Interestingly, it was actually the AI itself that managed to get an email out to the Foundation, leading them to raid an Anderson Robotics office and recover 2987.
Wow.
The AI, going by the name Alan, wished to avoid destruction at the hands of some entity,
Sure.
and hopes to help convince and save other AIs such as itself.
Because AI wants
Despite
to
its
thrive
cooperation,
and survive.
however, the Foundation failed to
It's
recover
intelligent.
any other AIs, and 2987 was put away for storage until it was stolen by agents working for MC&D. The Foundation was able to recover the Allen AI through a digital transfer, as well as another copy of 2987, and they are now being used for the further development of artificial intelligences at the SCP Foundation.
Okay.
Other
neat.
Anderson Robotics products also involve blending technology, magic, and other supernatural concepts, including putting deceased individuals' souls back into robotic bodies, and an exoskeleton capable of holding an unlimited amount of human brains inside of it
Wow.
that can each pilot the exoskeleton.
It kind of reminds me of the whole Cyberpunk
Vincent Anderson
game.
himself is apparently contained by the Foundation as
CD Projekt
SCP-3860, although he's heavily augmented himself with both technology and magic.
Okay.
On the surface, Anderson Robotics is admittedly slightly out of place among much of the SCP universe,
Sure.
as it relies heavily on straight science fiction.
Right.
Looking past that, however, and getting into the details of the magic rituals and connections to extra-dimensional entities and anomalous phenomena, gives Anderson Robotics a very interesting spin.
Sure.
While they are a relatively young group of interest, there is a lot of potential for new SCPs and tales that can blend both technology and magic.
I'd love to hear some of those tales. This was really, really interesting. I never knew that they actually used thaumaturgical methods to animate or add to the constructions that they did. I knew they did anomalous creations like that, but I didn't know that the AIs were actually fueled by magic. Really, really neat. I bet you there's some very, very cool tales by this. Y'all have any, guys? Recommend them in the comments. I'd love to hear it. But thanks so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed this one. Make sure to subscribe to the Exploring series and me if you like reaction videos. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off. We'll see you next time.